All right. Good. Oh, wait a minute. Yep, this sounds good. All right, everyone, we're going to start the class. Let's see. Let me just make sure I'm sounding all right. Yep. my little something or other is too long. All right. All right, we begin each class every week by saying the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. I'm going to read it, and if you are in agreement, affirm by saying Islam after I finish reading. Ye are the children of one Father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother has given you suck. By the bonds of affection, therefore, unite thee with thy brothers and sisters, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy Father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him out. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy Father contribute to the support of his whole nation, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam, all right, all right. I don't think I need this mic. David, I don't need this mic, right? All right. How many people listened to the Blog Talk show last night? How many people know there's a Blog Talk show? How many people listen? All right. Well, if you had listened, we had a very, very interesting conversation last night. And actually, we had an interesting conversation last Wednesday. If you didn't get the message, we didn't have any class last Wednesday because we were told that there was a lot of snow and parking was a big, big problem. So what we did instead was we did a blog of a campus discussion, so to speak. So if you, how many people, well, I already answered that question. You can go to the MHHS Eyes Wide Open Blog Talk Radio. The archives are there. It's 3 years worth, and they are free. You can download them. They're MP3s. You can buy them to a CD. I put them on my phone. Believe it or not, I do some of the lectures. I host I host 2 shows. Ms. hosts Sons of Allah, and I download the shows to my phone and listen to them. So that's how I kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, oversaturate the crap that's in my head working against me. Because if you do not oversaturate the crap that is in your head with the good stuff, the knowledge, the information that's going to assist you, then, you know, at any given time, you might be asked a question and, you know, that misinformation will come up just like vomit and put you in a bad situation. So you want to oversaturate your head with as much information as you can. How many was here, I think it was maybe 3 weeks ago? Last week we didn't do class. The week before that there was Julie doing etymology. And then the week before that I was here, and we started going through documenting various different, what might be considered corporate activity. You were here? How many else was here? We started jotting down some corporate activity. You was here? Just 3? 4? Oh, all right, cool. Because what I want to do is I want to continue. Are we good with that?
Yeah.
Wonderful. I want to continue with that because it sort of kind of fills in some missing information. Actually, last night's show kind of filled in some information as well as it relates to this, because because last night one of the things that we talked about was that a lot of people don't realize that they're dealing with a corporation, right? You're dealing with a corporation. It doesn't matter where you're going on planet Earth. It's all about corporations. See, the Aboriginal indigenous people, and this is one of the things that last night's broadcast was about, who is your mother? Because, or who is your mother, where were you born? I think it was where were you born? Because a lot of times we will say, you will be asked the question, where were you born? What would you say? Brooke, where were you born? Where were you born? Where was you born? Where was you born? He's the only right answer. Where was you born? From your mother. Right? Right. And then I'll say questions like, what's another one that they get you with? Where do you come from? Right? Same question. Very similar to where were you born, only it's a little bit different. Where do you come from? Right? Well, see, the purpose of that you're exactly correct. Because, see, in order for them to gain jurisdiction, they got to get you to admit it. So they will ask you questions like, where did you come from? Where were you born? Most of us will say what the majority of the people will say, right? Some people will say, oh, I come from Great Britain or England, or I come from France, Russia. Germany is new, didn't exist until recently. You might come from the Middle East, that's real new. It wasn't called the Middle East. Back in, the 1400s, it was called Byzantine or Constantinople. And so one of the things that I discussed last night was people run around and they say things because we're lacking information. And one of the purposes of this class is to give you some information so that when questions are asked of you, you will have the proper response. Or even if, because sometimes a question doesn't require a response, right? I love that one. That's me all over. Sometimes a question doesn't require a response. Like if somebody says, where do you come from? I'm going to look at them like, really? Let's move on. Because you already know. I know you know. Yes?
So, just by chance, if you do a passport application and these questions come up and we answer it properly, does the system reject that application, or where do we go?
Well, here's the thing. See, you didn't listen to Sunday's broadcast with your sister standing on law. I'm so glad you brought that up. And guess what? My phone is engaged. And Liz, is Liz here? Oh, anybody got a phone? My computer guy is not here. Can you get RVBey publication on your phone? Can you download the last syllabus for Sister Standing on Law? And look for the definition of passport. Look for the definition of. Is that a fourth? Is that fourth? Fourth? Yeah. Let's have a look. I ain't never seen a black ball fourth that small. Yes, see. Ryan Gardner. Let's see what it says about passport. Somebody advised me over one of these books a while ago, and I messed around and bought it. And when I looked at it, I was like, no, this is not what no, this don't even have passport in here. No, it's not even in here. All right. It's missing a lot of words, good words, but it was written by somebody else, not Henry Campbell Black, which is Henry Campbell Black. I want to say 1856. But if you can, look it up, and because I really want to read that definition, and I didn't bring my tablet because it would be there. But anyway, we're going to get to your question, because when you hear the definition of passport and pass, because they go together, you will know why that doesn't apply to you. But see, they are counting on us not asking questions, because that's how they have mentally conditioned us, right? They have mentally conditioned us not to ask questions. For example, how many people have been told, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to think of a good one. I just heard one. Oh, how many people have insurance? How many don't have insurance through their so-called job? Did they tell you that you had to fill out some form, a waiver, if you don't take their insurance? And they said it's a federal law?
No, they didn't say that.
They said it, and the paper said it.
Oh, maybe.
They said it in the papers. Well, they told me that, and the paper said it. How many people filled it out? How many people asked for the law? You see what I'm saying? We don't ask for the law. We just make assumptions that, they can't be pulling our legs. They're not trying to play us. They're not taking. Let me tell you something about the whole insurance scam, because it's a huge scam. You know why the corporations were so pissy mad about this Obama health care? You know why they were pissy mad? Because they're the ones that's supposed to be paying for it. That's why they're pissy mad. But guess what? Once again, they're passing their obligation onto the people. Right? And then they're saying, if you don't have insurance, if you don't have insurance, we're going to tax you X amount of dollars more. Right? But that's not your obligation. It's the corporation's obligation. Many of us fill out those 1040, 1040A, easy, whatever. We fill them out every year, right? But nobody has ever asked for a law that says we have to do that. No one has said that. I'm just making an assumption because some of you could have done that. Has anyone asked for the law, documented, because they usually say it's the law. Have they given it to you? No. And even if they do give you the law, you'll find that the law is a statute.
I gave you a document.
Which document is that?
That document that said it is no law required to pay.
Well, that is correct. That is correct. So now look at what they're doing. Because all these corporations, I stress the American Constitution heavily, because that document is absolutely incredible. Incredible. Because but most of our people don't know why it is incredible. Most of our people don't even think it was written to protect us. Many of our people think that it was written by 12 white men, so-called white men, to benefit white men and their children. This is what many of our people believe because of misinformation. But that American Constitution, it is called the American Constitution, and it is taken from our ancestors, the Iroquois Confederation, and it was originally called the Law of the Great Peace. Today it is called it is the American Constitution because it was written by the original Americans, our ancestors. All right? Now, the amazing thing about that American Constitution is you have to know the climate and the history of 1774, what was going on. to really get why that document is so important to all people, but especially us. That document protects us and our posterity. We are the posterity. That document was written, drafted, and ratified and went into effect in 1791 by our ancestors to protect their posterity. That's us today. And we don't know nothing about it. We literally think the modern Europeans wrote it for their family. Right? So let me just say this. Because if you get this, then you'll understand this so much better, and your minds will start to take off, as mine did. That in 1774, what was happening? Our history, I'm going to tell you the true history, and you don't have to believe me. Go and read the congressional records, dig up information. Many of us think that we were the slaves. In 1700s, mid-1800s, we were not the slaves. We were never the slaves. But you have to know what the word slave comes from. If you know what the word slave comes from, you'll recognize we can never be slaves because the word slave comes from Slavic. And we're not Slavic. We can never be Slavic. Slavic is talking about modern Europeans. I call them modern European people because the original ancient modern Europeans are what they call the British Moors, and they're just like you and I. But you got to know the history. Over in Great Britain, what today they call England, that's another corporation. Great Britain is a corporation. England is a corporation. All right? When they start in Great Britain, they decided to enter into a treaty with Morocco. That is, and I have that treaty on one of my computers. I'm trying to find it so that I can dig it up and we can review it, analyze it. In order for Great Britain to come over here, there has to be a treaty. Before Great Britain came over here, they entered into a treaty with the Dutch Republic. That's why the Dutch Republic was here first. I say this all the time, right? Especially for you folks up in NAIR, the New York City Corporation. Y'all know what time it is, right? New York was originally called New Amsterdam under the Dutch Republic, and when the Duke of York, the brother to Charles II of Great Britain, was given a charter to come over here and start up business, he changed it from New Amsterdam to New York. That's how you got New York City. It was named after the Duke of York. It's nothing more than a company. And originally, it was established as a company. The charter that he received was dated 1640. He took over New Amsterdam. The reason why he was able to take over the sales territory of New Amsterdam is because the nationals of New Amsterdam was free. They had to ask them, would you like to relocate to the Americas and open up shop and secure our sales territory? And they was like, no, yes, maybe, not enough people to secure the sales territory. How big was the sales territory? From Maine all the way down to Delaware. Not enough people. Right? This is the history. The Duke of York.
So he has the British board. He talked to the British board.
No. This is the nationals of the Dutch Republic.
Dutch Republic.
Yes. Now, you might want to know, well, who are the Dutch Republic? Who are the Dutch? Who are those people? Well, you get a clue when you do a bit of history on the Dutch Republic. The Dutch Republic falls under the Holy Roman Empire. And the Holy Roman Empire is who? The Moors. So you know now that the Dutch Republic is Moorish as well. The Holy Roman Empire, not to be confused with the Roman Empire. The Holy Roman Empire was run by the Moors. The Byzantines, the Well, the Byzantines, that would be their caliph. Because, see, the head of that family is called the caliph. That was something that we mentioned last night. See, people are running around here and they say, oh, I'm a king or queen. No, you're not. No, you're not. Because, see, the head of the British family, the one that runs that company, because these are companies / corporations, the head of that company is called a king or a queen. France is a corporation. The head of that company is called the Dauphin. Russia is a corporation. The head of that company is called the Tsar. Constantinople, Byzantine, that's corporation. The head of that corporation is called the Caliph. In the United States of America, the head of that company is called the President. You got to know these things to put everything in perspective. So don't be calling yourself no kings or queens, because if you are, you need to be over in Great Britain running the show. Not here. All right? So we go back to what was happening in 1774. We stumbled upon this. Guess how we stumbled upon it, me and Ron?
What happened?
Guess how we stumbled upon 1774? We read the prophet's work. The prophet mentioned the Constitution of 1774. We looked at each other and was like, what Constitution of 1774 is he talking about? How come we don't know about this? It's not in any books. What is he talking about? The Constitution of 1774 that he's talking about is the Articles of Association. Yes, the Article of Association. And tied to that Article of Association is letters that was written to what they call Quebec, which is Canada, which is Finland, all right? They wrote a letter to the people of Canada, and they also wrote a letter, I think they wrote a letter to the people of Quebec, but the letter to the people of Great Britain was absolutely amazing. And when you read that document, it's documented. In that document, you see why that American Constitution was written. Now, you got to remember, on this land, you had Great Britain that had let me back up. We had the Dutch Republic that started a bunch of companies, right? You know, New York City is a company. The original charter for New York City was 1640. That tells you that it's a British company / corporation, right? New York City is a corporation. It's not a landmass. So when it says you're entering New York City, they're talking about the sales territory. All right? That's what they're talking about. If you read the history, they said they came over here. They were exporting beaver. They were exporting timber. They were exporting smoked fish, all right? They said that there was more fish than water. So clearly we were vegetarians, right? Because if there's more fish than water, we wasn't eating fish like that. And, of course, we know about the buffaloes. Buffaloes used to be, like, plentiful. You can't find a buffalo nowhere that I'm aware of. I'm sure there probably is some, what do they call it? Park where they send the animals that are on the verge of extinction. There's probably one or two of them somewhere. So 1774, we go and we look at the conditions. Amazing. Now, I just want to paint the picture. New York City is a corporation. It was previously New Amsterdam. Guess what else was previously under the jurisdiction of New Amsterdam? The Bronx, Brooklyn, Nassau. I'm not sure about Queens. I'm not sure about Yonkers. There was a whole list, and I have it. But all of the boroughs and many of the counties that are claimed by New York, they were previously companies that were established by the Dutch Republic. Yep. Yes. It, yes. Yes. New Netherlands. So if you look it up, you'll find let me just say this. The reason all of this information is, you know where I found a lot of this information? On the World Wide Web. And then I started looking, because one of the sure ways I wanted to do this, but we didn't get a chance to do this, show you how to find the information. People poo-poo Wikipedia. Wikipedia will give you some good dates that you can go and Google and find their charters. You go, the only part of Wikipedia that I look at, I'll go and I'll put in New York City. Over here they have like some demographics. They'll show you like the date it was established. You see the word established, founded, created, settled. They're telling you that's the date that they started the company. They all started as companies. And then down below, they might show you the date that they were incorporated. That's what you want to find, that incorporation date, because those dates, either the founding date or the incorporation date, will help you to find their charter. Then you go down. Then I go down to the section marked history. That's it. I might mess around in the references because sometimes they're stupid enough to put the charter in the reference. They're not doing that too much because we're using those charters to hold them accountable as a company/corporation. One place that I can tell you where they removed their charter is Prince George Corporation down near Maryland. Prince George County, their charter used to be on their website. Their website is orange or tan, and their charter was right there. It's not there anymore. You go click on the charter, and it'll say 404 era. It's not there. They moved it. I know I downloaded it on one of my computers, so I got it, but it's gone. If you go look for it, just like I'm telling people, go and look for these county charters and download them, send them to me, and we'll start a little catalog going. Because as soon as you start finding them and using them to prove that they are, in fact, a corporation, they're going to start taking them down. They're going to start taking stuff down off of the World Wide Web, all right? So let's go back. We have New York City as a company. We have Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, Nassau, Yonkers, you know, and just think of all of the counties today that you think is government. Those are all companies. How did they get the people to go and work and hold down the sales territory? It's so funny because modern Europeans will be like, I can trace my family back to the Mayflower. I know where I came from. Do you? And we're feeling so, I don't know where I come from. Oh, my God. Yes. If you do the history, anybody who came over on the Mayflower or the Santa Maria, they was taken out of the prisons of Great Britain. Those are your thieves, your murderers, your racists, and your debtors. So, look, I'm so glad that I know my family didn't come from none of that. But what they did was they went to the prisons and they said, look, you can go to the Americas and work as a slave. They called them indentured servants, but they was double crossing them left and right. Left and right. And if you go and watch that movie, The Last of the Mohegans, they show you some of the double crossing that took place. But they said, look, if you go to the Americas and you work in the company and you hold on our sales territory, you'll be free. If you don't, you go to the torture chambers. Now, if you want an idea of what their torture chambers were like, watch the Borgia series and the Tudor series. Those two series, they're on Netflix still. I went and ordered all of the Tudor series because they have so much historical information in there. If you know who is who or what is what, they are telling you the history of the British Moors, which is your cousin. They will also show you in the Tudor series just how the British Moors got their name. because they treat those modern Europeans horrendously. But they said, come on over here and you'll be free. Hold down our sales territory. And that's how they were able to hold down the sales territory from Maine all the way down to Delaware. Sounds like a good deal, right? But, of course, it was a double cross. It was a double cross. Because what they would do is they would go and they would work, like, for example, New York City got established. Actually, New York City consolidated the 5 boroughs in 1798. But just think about this. You're working, all of these paved streets didn't exist because their job was to trap beaver, right? There was a lot of forest around here, so they were cutting down trees and sending the timber back to Great Britain. You're right along the shore, so they're fishing, and they're smoking the fish, and they're sending it back to Great Britain so they can have some food, because they didn't have the luxuries of the heartland. All right? So this is what they did. Now, do you think they lived here for free? You think they lived here for free? They built the houses. But even though they built the houses, do you think they lived in them for free? Nope. They would chop the wood and build the house, but they had to pay a user tax. And the user tax was paid to the corporation. Well, at that time it was called a company. But guess what the name of the company was called? It was called New York County, because the county's job is to count the goods. And part of the goods was the slave. So they got to go into the county trying to find our ancestors, and we're not in there, because that's not our history. Now, what you might find in a vault that they don't let you in is estate records, because as the Moors started falling asleep, they tricked the Moors into giving up their ancestral estate. And they would take their documents, if they had any, or they would get them to sign certain documents, and then, they would trick them out of it, and they would take those documents and they would put them in a vault in their basement of the county. And in those documents, you may find your ills and days. There was a brother down near the Maryland area who did just that. When God was able to get into the vault and was able to research certain land masses, and he saw the ills and the bays on the people's name. But those documents that are in the estate, that's not what they let the public do. That's not what's online. What's online is called a deed, or a charter, or a grant, or a mortgage. All of these things speak of tenant agreements. And they had to trick the Moors as we started losing this information. And the reason we lost this information was because just like today, we're so busy fighting, right? And we were prophets that we're heartless people, and he's absolutely correct, because what we would do is, if me and him was fighting and I had children, let me just make it better. If me and her was fighting, I had children, she had children. If I won, I would leave her children out in the cold. And that's how a lot of Europeans was able to open up all these orphanages and put our children in there, and then start miseducating them, because we were hard-hearted, and we still are hard-hearted people, and we did not think of our family. Everybody in here right now looks alike. Yes, I can bet most of us do not look at each other as family. everybody in here, and I can see somebody in my family that looks like every last one of you. But yet we are so mentally conditioned to believe that even though we look alike, some of us do some of the same things, right? And yet we don't embrace each other as family. About 2 years ago, because I work with some disabled people, about 2 years ago, I had to take my client to a St. Patrick's Day dinner. All these Europeans in there celebrating our history. All of them. And they all embrace each other as family. But we don't. They can do horrendous things and they will protect each other. But we don't. And we don't do half the horrendous things that modern Europeans do. We don't even look. They have us pegged as terrorists. That's a joke. When do we have time to sit down and plan some terrorist activity? When? We're not going to have the time to plan terrorist activity. We're not even thinking about it. That's all we're thinking about, really, is having a good time. When we get off on Friday, we want to go hang out to the electric slide, listen to some music, watch some movie, a football game or something, chill out, put your brain on pause like it wasn't on pause all week. That's what we're trying to do. We ain't trying to sit down and plot how we going to be terrorists. That's why we always get busted. Because that's not our forte. That's not us. That's not in our blood. But that's in their blood. Plus, they got way too much time on their hands. And they say, all you black people on welfare. You know the majority of people on welfare is modern Europeans. Modern Europeans are the majority of people on welfare. And the biggest, hugest welfare recipients on this continent is corporations. They are on welfare, they get kickbacks, they get write-offs, they get all kind of crap. When's the last time you got a write-off? When's the last time you got a $1 million tax write-off? When's the last time you had $1 million? But that's, all of that is coming to an end. But I want to get back. So all of these corporations, these modern Europeans was working for, they couldn't, they had to pay user tax, even though they built the house, and the supplies that they used to build the house wasn't theirs.
And this is
1774.
I want to say I was reading some of your stuff, and it said, within the documentation that I was reading, and yeah.
I was on the website, RVBey, and I was reading some, I hope that this is the information that I was recalled that I was reading there, where they were talking about taxes. It was talking about taxes in the 1700s, but it said that if there was a tax placed on people, that it had to be a certain
portion.
It had to be a portion, and it was for a certain amount of time, a certain given amount of time, and it had to stop. And then if they wanted to redo something else, they would come with something, but it was for a specific period of time.
And it didn't include the Aboriginal indigenous people.
Correct.
That's for
Correct.
the modern Europeans who became members of the state, the Union States, because the Union States was established for modern Europeans to become members. And so when they go abroad and they say, well, where are you coming from? They would say, oh, well, I'm coming from America, or I'm coming from the United States of America. Just like saying the United States of America, all the Moors across the land, all the Moors on planet Earth knew they're under the protection of the Sultan. That's what that was for, because before they signed the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, they couldn't even get on the water good before one of our family members was snatching them off. They would take their boat, sell their cargo, and then so they was having a problem. But this happened when they tried to break from Great Britain, because Great Britain, they would be chopping up the lumber and the beaver, and they were into feathers. If you look back at some of the old 1600s, everybody had feathers, like peacocks, elaborate feathers everywhere in the head and everything. So they would be sending that back to Great Britain, and Great Britain would do an export tax on them. and then they would send something over to them from Great Britain, and they had an import tax. Sound familiar? All right. Now, if they didn't pay the tax, then somebody from Great Britain would come in the night and snatch them up, put them on a boat, send them back to Great Britain, throw them in the dungeon, and they would stay there. They were never told what they were kidnapped for, what happened, what did they do. Meanwhile, somebody was upstairs speaking on their behalf who had never talked to them. Sound familiar? Sound like what's going on today, right? That's right. Now, it is because of those activities, they wanted to get married, they had to go and get permission to get married from the governor. The governor then is still the whole premise of the governor back then is still the governor today. The governor is like your foreman. He manages the corporation. He's like the overseas manager. Now, we don't get this because we're so mentally conditioned we don't know how to connect it up. But yet, if you were to go to Russia and see a McDonald's, you would never say, oh, I'm, the land that they're on, I'm in McDonald's. You would never see a sign that saying you are now entering McDonald's. You see what I'm saying? Today, because and this only happens here, because we don't know our history, we don't know law, we don't know what our ancestors put down to protect us, we really think we are now entering New York City. But if you go to Russia, you don't think that. The only way you can be entering New York City is if you're entering their town hall. Right? Now, how do you know it's a corporation, the charter? But here's another clue. And I just had like a revelation because somebody was, I think it was here, somebody said, oh, I went to the town hall meeting. And it started working in my brain. And I was like, town hall meeting? Well, that's a corporate activity. How many of y'all have gone to your town hall meetings? Nobody? I never went. I always didn't see the purpose of it. However, what I did learn is when I worked in a major corporation, and that major corporation would have town hall meetings. And all of the employees it was mandatory that all the employees went. And at the town hall meeting, they would discuss what happened in any given fiscal year or what they call it, any quarter or fiscal year. They would have this discussion at the town hall meeting. I just felt it was a huge waste of time. I don't have any vested interest. I am here to do a job and then I go home. I am not socializing with anybody. That's not the nature of our relationship. That's how I have always operated. I've never gone to any company parties, picnics, nobody's house, because that's not the nature of our relationship. I probably wouldn't say jack to you if I walked past you on the street if I was at a job, that I am forced to sit down next to you and try to, behave civilly because, we work in a job together. That's the only reason that I'm here talking to you today. So I'm not going to party with you. break bread, celebrate nothing. That's not my family. That's not the nature of a relationship, right? So, but what it's amazing because I learned that, wow, many of us think that we're going to a government meeting when the county corporation has a county meeting. We really think that we're having a say in what they are doing, but really we're not. Also, how many people have worked for a major corporation in here? Okay. Were you ever involved in the selection of the selection of their executive body? You know this, right? From a corporate county. All these people running to vote for the aldermen and the mayor and the this and they really think they're voting. They really think this is mental conditioning. This is absolutely, they really think they're voting. But how could you have a say in the election or hiring of a corporate executive? You're an employee. You know, you're not on the board of directors, right? All right? If you're gonna participate in the election of a corporate executive on a board, you gotta be on the board. All of these people that's going and doing these county, city, town, township, borough buildings, they don't even know corporate structure. Because if you comprehended corporate structure, you would know, well, you're not on the board, are you? I mean, look, they allege that New York City has millions of people. It would just be ridiculous for all of those millions of people to be on the board and have a say in the vote. That's right. Same thing with the United States of America. They tell you, oh, it's an electoral college, right? But yet all of these people really think that they put Obama in that seat. Obama was put in that seat long before the election. Long before, who was in there before him? Bush. The son Bush was out. They planned 50 minimum years in advance. They already knew who was going to be in those seats, just like they already know who's going to be in that seat coming up. And people think, oh, I mean, it's just crazy because I've been spending a lot of time with my dad. It's a revelation. Because my dad is 88 years old. And I'm learning that people who are in that age range, they live to watch MSNBC. That's their whole day. Am I right? How many people are sending them? Don't they? CNN, MSNBC, ESPN, C-SPAN. I'm like, hey, but we've been sitting here for 2 hours there. Didn't they just say that? Why are we watching it again? And then they'll have a discussion about it all over again like we didn't have a discussion about it 2 hours ago. So I'm like, this is some serious. And then when this whole fiasco, he'll say, they're all a bunch of crooks. And I'm like, so why are you watching? But people in that age range, they live for that. Well, actually, you know what? My dad, he's always been watch CNN. They really think that they're being informed. They really think they're being informed. I had a guy say to me, he said, don't you watch the news? Don't you watch the news? I said, no, I don't. He said, what do you mean you don't watch the news? Don't you want to be informed? I said, you really think that the news is informing you? Yes. I said, so then you should know who killed John F. Kennedy. Right? All right. Shut him up. But anyway, so let me get back. So these modern Europeans, they came over here to work in this company, and they thought that they were going to be free. And it was really wild because if you read the history, especially of the people of the Boston Corporation, they put on airs. like nothing. They were like snotty nose, uppity, and everything. Meanwhile, Great Britain was taxing the crap out of them, double crossing them all over the place. So they finally got sick and tired of it, and they appealed to the Moors of Great Britain, actually the Sultan, because see over here, this is called Al-Madrid al-Aqsa or Al-Waraq. The head of that family, for real, because that's not even a corporation, the head of that family is the Sultan. All right? So they appealed to the Sultan, and they was like, and this is right in the congressional records. I'm telling you. They was like, please, 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 can you protect us? And the Sultan was like, well, you know, first you got to gain your independence. Hence, the Declaration of Independence, 1776. You got to know the history. There is a rich story here. But how many people know what led up to the Declaration of Independence? Nobody? You just know, okay, there's a Declaration of Independence. That's it. Right? I did too. Until I read the Declaration of Independence. And, you know, all these years, because I never bought the whole slave myth and everything. I never bought that. But I always knew that a lot of stuff was missing. So when I read the Declaration of Independence, I was like, wait a minute. Why are we celebrating melanated people the 4th of July? That's not for us. But the Declaration of Independence is where they gained their freedom. And let me just say this, since we are in the month of February, this whole February celebration, that's not about us. That's about them. Y'all don't feel me?
Yeah, black. I just got it now, yeah.
They are the black people. They are the black people. They are the Negroes. They are the colors. They are the bastards. You have to know what these mean. Bastard means that you are ineligible to inherit because you're not aboriginal to this land. You're not aboriginal to any family. That's what bastard means. Bastard has nothing to do with you being born out of wedlock. Has nothing to do. Let me show you how you can even see that. How many people know the story of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn? All right. Well, Henry and Anne got married, but they called Elizabeth a bastard. You know why? Because Anne was a modern European. She has no bloodline because she's not aboriginal, indigenous to planet Earth, which means she has no ties to the family of planet Earth. And that's why she is called the Virgin Queen, because no noble family on planet Earth would marry their firstborn son to her. Maybe their second, maybe their third, never their first. That's why she's the Virgin Queen. Because she's a bastard. You got to know that black doesn't mean your skin complexion because there ain't a black person in there. Right? There's not a black person in here. It's not complexion because none of you are black like my clothes. Right? Black is a status. Black means that you're dead in the eyes of the law. Right? So when they talk about Negro, it's referring to the Yagera Negro chimpanzee. And you know where I found them out? I was studying Latin. And I had to translate some Latin. And it had this word, troglodyte. And I was like, what is this? It didn't have anything in what I read. I went back and I read the whole thing from beginning all the way up to there. There's like 3 chapters. I didn't see the word troglodyte at all. So I went to the Latin dictionary and looked up troglodyte. And troglodyte is Latin for caveman. So, you know. I mean, but do your own research. We got to know who's who and what is what, or you will be mixed up every single time. They're putting these movies on. I mean, look at Cleopatra. Now, you got to know that the land that Cleopatra and Solomon come from is Harlem. Back in that day, it was hot. Okay? Hot with a capital H. There's no way in hell, I don't care. Look, we tan in the shade. How is that going to be that right? So you got to know who is who. So when they put these people in front of you, you got to know, just like when you watch the Tudors, you're going to see Henry VIII played by a modern European. And you're going to see Anne Boleyn played by a modern European. So if their complexion is not going to tell you who is who and what is what, their words will. So you have to pay attention to what they say. Now, a lot of people don't know that back in that time, the modern European was referred to as a commoner or a serf. But if they were elevated to some status where they could, like, take care of the books, they were called a commoner as opposed to a serf. So when in this series, when Henry says, starts paying Anne some attention, Anne says to Henry, I don't know why you're showing me all this attention. I am a commoner. I was like, let me rewind that. What did you just say? Because I knew the code words, right? So I'm listening, and I'm like, oh, wow, and then it dawned on me. This is why Elizabeth, a lot of people call her an amalgamated Moor. Then when you look at who surrounded her, they were Moors. That's why she was so brilliant. Doesn't change her nationality, but it does show you that her brilliance didn't come from the blood. Came because she had brilliant Moors around her who was educating her. And the only reason that she survived to die of an old age was because she had Moorish sons protecting her, because they plotted to kill her several times. And it was nipped in the bud because our sons ain't no joke when it comes to making sure the law is obeyed. She wasn't necessarily the law. But the law does say that as a female, she warrants protection, even if she is a modern European. So we go back to, let's see, where was I going with that? Moor. But you know what a Mason is, right? No, she never had any sons. That's why Henry had her head chopped off. But the reason why Henry could chop her head off was because she was a modern European. You do know that, right? Because Henry's first wife, she was a Moor for real. They'll show you that. She was Catherine of Aragon. Catherine was connected blood-wise to the Moors of Spain and the Moors of Rome. No way in hell Henry was going to mess with her. That's why, actually what happened, because back in those days, the way to get rid of people was poison. It's still the way to get rid of people today. Today, it's called immunization. Anne Boleyn was slowly poisoning Catherine, and that's how she ended up dying. But that's why the families of Spain and Rome kept continually sending mercenaries to take Elizabeth out. Not only was she a bastard, she was ineligible to inherit. She had no business on that throne. No business. She also killed a Moor. And that's why they kept trying to take her out every chance they give. But she had some Moorish sons to take her. So that didn't come to fruition. But let's get back to the Americas. The treatment of the modern Europeans here was so horrendous that they appealed to the Sultan. The Sultan said, sure, we'll give you a treaty of peace and friendship, but you're going to have to change your religion. The Declaration of Independence, The Declaration of Independence was drafted and signed in 1776, yet in 1780, Great Britain still had not acknowledged it. And so when the modern Europeans came and said, hey, we need a treaty of peace and friendship, our ancestors said, not until they acknowledge that you have changed your religion, and to come and talk to us about a treaty of peace and friendship is like what? Furnishing a house before you have laid the foundation. We spoke so eloquently. That's why I know our ancestors got to be rolling in the grave when they hear how we talk today. We could cut you off without purpose. That's how eloquent we spoke. And you know where you can see that? I haven't really analyzed it yet, but I was told that Frederick Douglass was asked to come and speak on, I think, Christianity to the modern Europeans, because, you know, they feel like they did something when they freed him. And he wrote a speech that really was an insult to them, but they were so illiterate that they didn't even get it. They was like, what does that mean? You know? But it was so brilliantly written. So, you know, that's something else that we ought to go look at. Check it out, because, like I said, we wrote very brilliantly. So, I said all that to say this. These modern Europeans, they were being attacked from all sides. They had to get permission to marry. This is where the license comes from, because the license, what they're saying in the license is, what they're saying in the license, and I'm not still in this new board. This is a new board. This is not new. I asked him, he said, this is new. This used to be bigger, so I got to bend down. The marriage certificate is saying, you're a product. This is literally what it's saying. And well, you suggested it. Thank you. Brilliant idea. Thank you. All right, so the marriage certificate or the marriage license, imagine you got to get permission to marry. The marriage license, remember, this is something that was established back in the early 1700s. You're a product, and it moves forward. You're a product, right? You're looked at as like a product tree. Now, all trees bear fruit, right? All trees bear fruit. Now, you're going to bear some fruit, right? But since this original product is owned, right? What do you think the fruit that it bears? It's owned too, right? And this is the history that they have been telling us is ours, right? And many people this month is going to celebrate this falsehood, right? So this product is owned by a company, and so it's going to be encouraged that you bear fruit. Now, you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, as many fruits, because it's all looked at as property, right? Now, where do you think they record the fruit, the tree, and the fruit? Where do you think they record the tree and the fruit? The county. Why would they record it in the county? To keep account, that's right, of what? The product. And when Moors today go to these counties, tell us, please, can you record me? You're saying that you don't know who you are. Because you can never be a product. You're national. You can never be a product. So, of course, this was encouraged, right? So now we get back to, well, how did they do that? How did they record the product? We talked about this 2 weeks ago with this, with the birth certificate. And we asked you, where does the birth certificate come from? The county, right? And what is a county? A corporation. How do we know that New York City is a corporation? Because of the charter, right? So that's verified, documented. The next instrument that is assigned to a product is the Social Security account number. How do you know it's an account number? I've been saying it's an account number for some time. If you go to the United States Postal Service Corporation office, they will have a purple folding card that says Selective Service. You should go and pick one up and open it up, and it doesn't say Social Security number. It says Social Security account number, right? Because this is an insurance, right? But it's not an insurance. It's an insurance, but it's not an insurance. Case law, they say it's an insurance, right? But case law says it's not an insurance. We have people that speculate that it's a trust, but case law says it's not a trust. So what is it exactly? What is it exactly? It is fraud, but you can't just say that. You know, look, a lot of people are running with various different theories. These theories may all be well and good, but unless you have verifiable documentation, you cannot move on a theory. You have to move on a theory with verifiable documentation to prove your point. And if you don't have it and you move anyway, you'll be charged with slander. So the Social Security account number is we've been told it comes from the Social Security Administration Corporation, right? Now, there is some theory that it comes from the International Monetary Fund or the United Nations, but that's theory too, right? Isn't it? The form that most people fill out, it says Social Security Administration. It doesn't say International Monetary Fund, and it doesn't say United Nations. That's speculation. Unless you can get some verifiable documentation to prove that, I wouldn't go down that road. All right, so now, then we have the immunization, right? We have immunization. Where does it come from? A hospital or a clinic, and what are they? Corporations. And their charter is very easy to find because they're not trying to hide the fact that they are a corporation. Social Security Administration, they are a corporation, but they try to hide the fact and say they're a government agency, but they're not. Okay, then the next we have is I put institution, and in brackets I put school because anything in brackets doesn't really exist, and they're really not a school. What they're doing is they're mentally conditioning everybody. I don't care if you're in elementary or what they want to call college. They're mentally conditioning you because you're not tapping into your creativity. You don't go to college or university for that. You don't. You don't need to go to university or college to tap into your creativity. You just need to have some time to sit down and go into your mind and pull something out. You know, because there's so much documentation all over the place that can tell you about various different things you could be creative in. For example, I sew. My mother is a master seamstress, all right? But my mother never had time to show me how to sew. But one year I needed a lab jacket because I was working at a hospital, and I have these long arms. And the normal jackets come up to here. And I like my jacket sleeves to come down to here. So I bought a pattern, some fabric, some thread, and some, what do you call it, to rip out your mistakes. Figure if I'm going to make suits, I'm going to figure this thing out, and if I make a mistake, I'll just rip it out, start all over again, right? Got into it, ended up creating a whole wardrobe. Talk about tapping accidentally into my creativity. And because I love the fashion of the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, more of the 30s and the 40s, my mother had a whole bunch of clothes around, and I would duplicate it. That's creativity. Did I go to college or university for that? Nope. I read directions. I looked at fabric that I liked, and I matched up thread, or if I wanted a funky residue thread, I did a contrasting thread, but I did it. And I didn't go to college or university, but did I tap into my creativity? I tapped into my creativity so well that I ended up making a New Year's Eve gown that really came out well, and a prom gown that I ended up getting, stitching on to the sister. It was last minute. They went to some modern European, and they ruined it up, and it was like 2 days before the prom. And I made it happen. Stitched it onto her, and she went out the door to the prom, took pictures. You would have never believed what we did. But that was creativity that I was able to tap into. Now, I'll tell you, my creativity wasn't just limited to sewing. Believe it or not, I have always been a tomboy, and I don't like waiting, and I have this analytical mind, so I work on my own car. Yes, I do. But you know what? Working on your own car, it's like putting together a puzzle. It's like taking it apart and putting together a puzzle. And guess what? I'm a programmer. That's right up my alley. So, but I do that for myself, and sometimes I do that for my daughters, but I don't do it. But, because, the only reason I tapped into it, that particular creativity, is because everybody made it seem like it was so hard. I discovered it's not. But it brought me into, my dad is a master carpenter. So, and I used to go with him. My mother used to send us to stay with my dad for the summer, and he had to go to work. So we was in the work van with him, along with the tools and the supply, and we was back with him when he did his various different jobs. So I learned how to put up walls, do electric stuff, plumbing, put down tiles and things of that nature. And I learned that, I got this eye for architects. So I started looking into, I pay attention to buildings. Now, who would have thought that I would be interested in all those different things, right? But you guys, every last one of you, would be interested in all sorts of different things if you just have a little bit of time to tap into your mind, right? So do you got to go to college or university to find out this? No. So what is the purpose of this institution they call a school? To mentally condition the people. How do you know? Once again, in my family, we never go to the hospital. You call an aunt or a grandmother or somebody, they come over with a bag of herbs and stuff, and they start cooking and stuff, and before you know it, if they have to, they will hold you down and apply it, and in a couple of days, you'll be good as new. No scars, nothing. All right? So now, when you go to the so-called institution they call a school to be a nurse or doctor, are they teaching you holistic medicine? I know they're not, because I worked in a hospital for 5 years. And when they were giving the people the chemotherapy to cure them, they had to put on these gowns and the shields and double gloves and footsie things and everything. And if they spilled any of the chemo on their skin, they would develop third-degree burns. But they was putting that in somebody's vein. Is that holistic medicine? But they went to this institution they call a school to learn how to do that. You see what I'm saying? Many of us are killing ourselves to either send our children or ourselves to these institutions, and that's all they're teaching you is how to kill yourself and others. Islam?
The public school system, mind control.
The public school system is what?
Mind control.
Well, yes, it is.
Because
you have to look at the history of the school, and then you'll know why it's not for our children. This institution they call school, public school, that was never created for our children. Really? That was created for the modern Europeans. And do you know what they taught them? How to take over the job that their parents were doing in the factory. That's all they taught them. Interesting, we trade places with them, right? So we just need to learn that history. So these institutions, their school, where does the school come from? Who establishes the school? The county. The county. It's not the government. It's the county. Let me tell you the sad thing about this right here is the county is a foreign corporation, right? Now, the fund for education comes from international community, and it's given to the feds. The feds give it to the state, and the state holds on to it until someone puts in a bid to provide a service called education to the people. You following me? So now because see, the feds cannot give finance to a foreign corporation outright. That's treason. But they can give finance to a corporation that is providing a service, appears to be providing a service, right? Now, the same finance that these corporations, these foreign corporations are getting, we can establish our own Moorish school and get the same finance if we so choose. So, this is where we left off about 3 weeks ago. So my next question is, okay, we got the birth certificate, Social Security, immunizations. What would come after that in terms of some sort of what was we calling it? Because all of these documents, they create negotiable instruments, but that's just speculation. Still speculation because we don't have any way to verify that in terms of income. We would need a balance sheet to determine that. It's doable, but it's ahead of ourselves. What would be the next negotiable instrument that somebody would complete? What? What did you say? Huh? Jail? No. We're trying to do it chronologically. But jail is a product of something else. Yeah. No. Why? Well, see, when I was going to school, I never needed a state ID. That's a new thing. But you would get that here. All right. So everybody will agree that we're talking about a driver's license? Because this is an infant that gets the Social Security, immunization, and then they start school. Right? What would be next? Everybody agrees driver's license? All right. This is a good one. Driving instrument. Or, no, that's not even correct. Well, it's driving. It's well. Let me put this license. Got the. It's a license, but really, what is it? What is this really? No, it's not. Well, it is, but before we get to that, what is this license really? Well, it's not, but it is in that area, but it's not an identification card. Well, it's a type of identification card, but what kind of an identification card is it? Who said that? Membership. It's a membership card. A lot of people don't get that, right? This is why this is fraud, because you're compelling the people to join who? Who do you get the driver's license from? It's not from the state. Who do you get it from? DMV? So that would be the Department of Motor Vehicle, right? Is that? Now, here's the tricky part. That's a corporation, but it's an agency, or I should say it's an agency or a sub-corporation, right? But what is it an agency or sub-corporation of? Who? What? Federal government. Feds. I know a lot of y'all thought it was the state, huh? It's not. You know why? Because this motor vehicle program is written by the feds. The states get to participate in administering it. And then what the states will do is they will contract it out to a Department of Motor Vehicle, but the Department of Motor Vehicle of who? Because the feds have a Department of Transportation. So this is an agency that was created that is not attached to the state or the feds. So who is it connected to? Is it connected to anyone? Remember, I said the feds wrote the motor vehicle program. They allow the states to participate, and the state will contract it to a corporation to administer. So the Department of Motor Vehicles for New York is a corporation. They're not even an agency. Who would they be an agency of? You know how I know they're not an agency? They like out there flying by themselves. Because in 2011, North Carolina was sued, so to speak, and they're on record as saying that the Department of Motor Vehicle and the police department is not an agency of the state. You remember that? Rod Class, I think his name was, put it out there, put in the documents. They said that so now if they're not an agency of the state and they're not an agency of the feds, then they are an independent contractor. Who knew? Right? Something else I wanted to mention about this. The driver's license, it's a membership, Department of Motor Vehicles. So really what we will have to do is we will have to research when was this established, founded, or what was the other word? Settled. That's another word. And we need to look for the charter for the Department of Motor Vehicles. Now, I'll tell you, I was working with an Asiatic sister, and where she and I worked, it was a part-time job, right? So she was telling me, I asked her, I said, oh, where do you work? And she said, I work for the Department of Motor Vehicle. I said, oh, really? And then she started telling me about how she got a ticket and that she was going to subpoena one of the inspectors at the Department of Motor Vehicles. She was going to ask them to come and testify at the court, at her so-called court date, to get the thing thrown out. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. So I said, what department do you work in? And she said, immigration. I said, immigration? What does immigration have to do with the Department of Motor Vehicle? This is how I found out that it's administered by the Fed. She said, in every Department of Motor Vehicle, they have an immigration department that is operated by the Fed because this is a federal program. And I was like, wow, who knew? Did any of you know? I didn't know. So we got the driver's license. What would be next? Really? But do you have to? Really? That sounds like co-conspiracy and collusion. So, but that only applies to males, right? So then we have, if you're male, you have to apply for selective service. Now, this is really interesting. Where does that come from? Post office is a contractor. Where's that coming from? Anybody know? Huh? How do you know that? Are you sure about that? Because, you know, one of the things that we learned when we was studying, it was an article of Confederation of 1643. It was unauthorized by Congress, which is Moor. But it was an article of Confederation of 1643. And in it, now remember, we're talking about these companies which today are referred to as county, city, town, township, borough, right? In it, it said that all males from a certain age, I can't remember the exact age, they have to sign up for the militia. So is this the Fed? Where does it get sent to? Where does it get sent to?
What department?
I mean, well, you're signing up.
Right.
Where are you signing up? Did you sign up? No?
Yes, I did.
Where did you go to sign up?
I want to say I haven't got the document in the mail.
Oh, wow. Well, that's something we're going to have to look into because selective service It's got to be attached to a corporation.
Yeah, I want to say I fill it out or
Anybody else fill it out and know where it was sent to? No? Well, you know what? I'm going to be at the post office, and I'm going to make sure I pull it out and see. I'm going to pull it out and see, because we can't. I never knew about this, of course. Why would I do it? But this is going to be, we need to research that, because we need to finish filling this out. Because here's the thing. And it, when, you know, let me ask, how many guys are, like, really up on asking questions? You learn? Because one of the things that I have noticed is guys do not ask questions. I have a friend, he had to go to the hospital with his mother, and I was like, well, what did they say she had? He said, I don't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know? You didn't ask? He said, no, she just called me and said, come pick her up. I picked her up and dropped her home. And sometimes when they go to the hospital and do what, you know, the physical, or they're having a problem or whatever, the doctor will, so-called doctor will say, oh, I need to do this, that, and the other. Did you ask them why? He said, no. Why not? But it happens frequently. Oh, we're gonna cut off your leg. Okay. Did you ask them why? No. But there's a time to ask questions. You know what? I ask questions all the time. A couple of years ago, when I was having dental work done, I asked the dentist, said, okay, we're going to have to do a root canal. I was like, what is that? And he explained it to me. I said, now that doesn't make sense at all. You're going to pull out the tooth. No, I said, you're going to kill the nerve, so leave the tooth there. I said, doesn't that mean the tooth is going to eventually rotten and fall out because it's not getting any blood? And you know what he did? He looked at me, he said, you always ask this many questions? I said, yes. Because they so expect you not to ask any questions. And that's why I tell guys all the time, you've got to bring a sister with you. Trust me, because she will hear things that go right over your head, and she will be, wait a minute, you're going to have to explain that a little better. Meanwhile, you'll be sitting there like, what's wrong, honey? What did he say that was wrong? And you'll be like, well, we'll discuss this when we get home, but right now he's got to explain that to me. Because, you know, he's about to injure you, and I'm paying for it? No.
The repercussion of not signing up for the selective service is that you can be basically denied funding for college.
Yeah. I know. But here's the thing. Once again, did anybody ask to see the law? I know you didn't, because we all knew. We're just catching up. We're only just not thinking, maybe you should ask them for the law. Because we've been mentally conditioned to really believe that these people have our best interest at heart. Well, even though they're killing us in the streets, we still think they got our best interest at heart. And I would have a problem. I really would have a problem if I had children in the school system these days, because my grandson came home from school and he's like, oh, the police is in our school today. And I was like, really? For what reason? He said, well, they taught us that the police is here to protect you. I said, no, you will. No, you will not be believing that. No grandchild of mine will be believing that. No, I said that the police are there to injure people, and that's what they do on a regular basis, baby. Do not ever trust them. If you ever tell them, you call your mother or me. Like, really? I said, yes, baby. No, I will not. But see, what if I had been busy? What if I had been busy? That would have went right by us. I called up my daughter. Oh, no, they're telling your child that the police were there to protect people. You know, that's not true. You better teach him. Because this is, look, they get our children at such a young age, and then what are they doing? Mentally conditioning them. And he's going to like, no. No, I'm not having that. But look at this in the schools. And I know, like a lot of mothers out there, like I'm telling you, I would have a problem because you're sending your child to these institutions and they're mentally conditioning them and they're coming home and they're telling you things that are disturbing. That's when my daughters were in elementary school. One of my oldest daughter came home with a bag. I was like, oh, what's in the bag? She's like 6 or 7. Birth control, condoms, contraceptives, pamphlets about gays and lesbians and relations. I was like, what is this? Where did you get this from? And they talked about this. She was like 6 or 7. I was right up to that school the next day, and I was like, it is not your job to talk to my child about sex education. That's my job, and I will appreciate it if you refrain from doing so. And then, well, what is she going to do when we're having this? I said, she can go to another class for all I care, but you will not be the one to teach her. Well, who knows? If I had not been, I don't even know how I got that. I don't know, because I've always worked, so I don't even know how I got that, how I was able to intercept that, but I did. And I'm like 6 or 7. I walked up to that school, and I was like, what are you people doing? 6 or 7, she's not thinking about sex. She's thinking about going outside and playing. Why are you trying to put this information in her head early? What is your intent? That's all. That's not your job. I am her mother. I will tell her when I am damn ready, and she ain't ready right now. But you got to watch these things. You got to be there ready to intercept bad information because what are they doing? Mentally conditioning our children. And we're paying for this. All right, so we got to find some more information about this selective service because we don't know what corporation is administering it at all, right? So what comes after that? Marriage? Huh? Yes, adhesion contract. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. What's the next adhesion contract? Well, how do you get there? Work, job. You got the social. So we got the job, right? Now, the job is going to come from any corporation. So I'm going to put any corporation. And most corporations will have, they call it a business plan. Nobody ever asks for it. But the business plan is also a charter. Because back in the early 1900s, you couldn't start a business unless you got a charter. And they show you that in the Federal Reserve Act. How many people knew that the Federal Reserve Corporation was chartered in 1913? Do you know how long that charter was good for? Somebody just said it? 20, thank you. 1913, they had a charter that was good for 20 years, which brings us to what? 1933. What happened in 1933? Emergency Banking Act. Emergency Banking Act because their charter was not renewed. So they declared an Emergency Banking Act, and that's when everything turned over in terms of the finance. But for all you Moors who's always chasing down the Federal Reserve note, here's something for you to research. What were we exchanging prior to 1913? It wasn't gold or silver. We never needed gold or silver because we're the heirs. No, greenbacks wasn't for us either. Any Federal Reserve note, what does it say? Anybody got a dollar bill? $5 bill? $2 bill? Oh, all right. This says Federal Reserve Note of the United States of America. That's for them to exchange, not us. We're not under the United States of America. The United States of America is a corporation. They created the Federal Reserve Note to exchange, not us. That's not our government. That's not our money. But the fact that they even created the Federal Reserve Note is treason. Because in the Coinage Act of 1792, it says that if you change the monetary system of this land, that is treason. Oh, it wasn't my phone. Oh. All right, so we're at the job from any corporation. All corporations have to have either a business plan, a charter, and insurance, right? Now, what else? What's next? What comes after the job? Well, I would say that the tax thing is incorporated in the job, right? So we can say job and taxes, okay? Now, no, you're right. Let me back this up. No, we don't want to join taxes to job because taxes don't necessarily come from a job. Taxes comes from, what's the name of the corporation? Taxes? Thank you. Internal Revenue Services. Now, you do know that the IRS, Internal Revenue Service, is not an agency of the federal government. You know this, right? I got the case law. It's on the website. All right, so Internal Revenue Service is what? Does anybody know when it was established? Are you sure? Positive? 1913. And what is it established? How is it? Okay, that means that there's got to be a charter. Anybody seen the charter? Well, the charter, no, there is no charter. We got to find the charter. Right? That's the Federal Reserve Act. The Federal Reserve Act was drawn up by Congress in 1913, and it had a lifespan of 20 years. Meaning it was renewable in 20 years, but it wasn't renewed. All right. So got taxes, and then after taxes, what do we have? Marriage. Oh, God. Ain't nobody moving out of their mama's house before job and marriage, huh? Marriage comes from where? County, right? And we know that the county is corporation. We almost said back at the beginning, corporation. And in this area, that would be New York City, chartered 1686, Great Britain. All right. Now, I think we got enough here. What time is it? Oh, cool. We'll be wrapping this up. Now, they told me that red doesn't show up well. How about green or blue? Does red show up good for you? Or blue? Blue? Oh, red does show up. Let me know in the back if you can see this. Oh, well, I guess you ain't going to be seeing that. Here's another red one. Let me know if you can see this. Yes. Can you see that? All right. All right. This is great. We can go on. I think you're getting my point. You'll get my point in a minute. I know I'm not talking. Job. Any corporation. General Revenue Service, corporation. And then back to the beginning. All right. The birth certificate comes from a corporation. Social Security comes from a corporation. Immunization from a hospital, which is a corporation. The so-called institution school is a corporation. The driver's license comes from a corporation. The selective service is some type of a corporation. We have to do some more work on that. Any job is a corporation. Taxes, corporation. Marriage, corporation. What is the one constant variable? They're all corporations. We can go on. We can add the mortgage fraud, right? Mortgage fraud goes in so many different directions, right? Bank, mortgage company, county, attorney, right? Insurance, all of these are corporations, right? I think I want to put that down there. Mortgage, home, basic necessity, mortgage, corporation. What kind of corporation? We got? You got the county, bank, what else? Is the real estate agent is a broker. Wait a minute, the taxes come out of the county. We got bank, county, broker, insurance, attorney. That's county. For purchasing a house. You don't go into no court to purchase a house. Oh, let's not forget, with the house comes the utilities. Gas, that's county. Gas corporation, electric corporation, water corporation. What else? No, it's county. Look at that notary seal again. Gas, electric, water, cable, telephone, right? That's in the county. Now, just the house alone, look how many corporations is involved. Whew. County, bank, broker, insurance, gas, electric, water, cable, telephone. All right? All of those are corporations. Let me circle them. I didn't want to write. I know this is getting down to the bottom, but I'm almost done. Bank, county, once again, broker. All of these are corporations. Water, cable, telephone, attorney. All right. In the lifetime, just because we can add more, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 corporations that are sucking you dry. All right? 19 that are sucking you dry. The Constitution was written to protect everybody from this. The Constitution was written to protect all the people, especially the Aboriginal Indigenous people, from corporations violating your unalienable liberties. Liberties. If you don't know what liberty means, go to the RVBey Publications website. Sisters Standing on Law. This past Sunday, we gave the whole definition of liberty. It's extensive. All right? Your liberties, they are unalienable. Everybody knows what a lien is, right? Every last one of these corporations are liening you. That's unconstitutional. And we didn't even throw in the registration of the automobile. Oh. This is the point I wanted everybody to see and get. Now, seeing this and getting it doesn't mean you go running tomorrow to all of these corporations. Seeing and getting this means that you're going to have to do some research. And you're going to have to come up with a strategy. Now, me personally, I'm going to look at this list and I'm going to go after the one that's injuring me the most. My right to travel. I'm not in any institution. I don't do immunization. I got something for the Social Security Administration Corporation, but I ain't ready to let it loose yet. Taxes, if you don't comprehend taxes, you need to get the correcting the position of the IRS book in the back. There's case law, let me tell you, in Title 12, Section 411, I believe it is, it says that Federal Reserve notes are obligations of the United States. Then in Title, I want to say 31, Section 41, 32, it's in the book. It says that obligations of the United States are exempt from taxation. Did you hear me? Oh, you didn't hear me. Are you cleaning my wax up here? Yes. Says that 411 says that the Federal Reserve note is obligations of the United States of America. And then 31, section, I think it's 3142, it says obligations of the United States of America are exempt from taxation. You know what that means? You know what that means? That means nobody should be charging you taxes. Nobody. Because if you're using Federal Reserve notes, they're exempt from taxation. You go to the grocery store, or you go to Walmart. You know, I love Walmart. You go to Walmart, and you buy a DVD player, and they trying to charge you taxes. Everybody's whipping out their identification card. That's not a bad thing to whip out, but you got to know why you're exempt from tax. You're not obligatory. Look, if I'm going to put Federal Reserve notes on the table, then you got to know that I am not the one that's liable for tax. Number one, the reason that you're not liable for taxes is because you're not engaging in any import-export. Taxes is for import-export. You just went to the corporation that imported the goods, and now they're reselling it to you. So the tax is theirs because they imported it. And how do you know they imported it? Because don't let it say made in America. And even if it is made in America, they probably imported it from some company. So either they're trying to imply that you are a corporation and you're coming to purchase something, thereby import it, which means they have to produce verifiable proof of that. So the bottom line is you're not a corporation, they're the reseller, you're purchasing it from them, they did the importing, the tax liability is on them. Number one. Number two, you just use Federal Reserve notes to purchase this thing, and that is exempt from taxation. But you don't know these things unless you study a little. Islam, somebody had a question right there? Mike.
I just wanted to say that if it's safe to say that the United States is 50 corporation.
No.
No?
Less.
Oh.
Less than that. Last I heard it was like 23, because a lot of them left the union.
Okay. And
that's just hearsay. I don't have no verifiable documentation on that. That's just hearsay.
And my other question is, do you think you can inform the people here about the straw man status?
Sorry, what?
Straw man. The straw man status?
What about it?
Like, tell them about the like how they are the corporation. Like you just.
Who's the corporation?
We are the.
You're a corporation?
Probably I'm not saying it correctly, but
what are you trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is I was researching the straw man, and it was.
You know what a straw man is?
It's based on your birth certificate.
How?
And I was reading it, but
with that one.
Okay, I don't know how to
see now.
Speak it correctly, but I do have an idea.
No.
Okay.
You got to come with the law now.
Okay.
Remember, and the reason I'm telling you this is because you do not want to go into one of these meeting rooms they call a court and throw straw men on the table because they will 730 you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're telling me, well, I can't explain it, I would never use the word straw man.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Mm-hmm.
In this circle, we use. I'm not saying you're not part of the circle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying when you're knowledgeable, you want to use the word non-begeer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what non-begeer is?
No, I don't.
What? Okay, you're gonna have to go over there and get that book.
Okay.
But non-begeer, see now, non-begeer is a Latin word, and being that it is a Latin word, and they're talking law, and a lot of their law is Latin, and you know that Latin is Moorish Latin. I'm not here to educate anybody, so when I say, look, that's non-begeer is not me, and they say, well, what does that mean? Heck, I'm not here to educate you. You're supposed to know. Not my job. You in the military?
No, but...
Okay, hold on, Mike. Where does that come from?
It goes back to
No. Verifiable documented source.
What's the non-begeer?
You're telling me about the non-begeer.
Well, I'm asking because I heard that it comes from non-begeer means like your war name. So when the country is under military rule or martial law.
Well, see, that's good. But does that not mean the same thing as a straw? It's all straw.
Well, yeah, it is.
Yes, but see, you can explain now the gear. Can you explain straw man?
I would use fiction or legal entity.
Okay, so what does that mean?
Legal entity created by law.
Do you have verifiable documentation that you, because you're saying, because when you talk about straw man and non-gear, you're talking about the all-cap name. So you're saying that all-cap name, which they're saying is a legal entity, which is a fiction. Do you see where that can turn into a 730 examination?
I guess.
No. See, what you need to be able to show that with law. Actually, I wouldn't even go there. All right, because that's going to be very difficult to prove. What I can prove is that this birth certificate came from a corporation that is chartered out of Great Britain, and that I was in some way, shape, or form compelled under threat, duress, and coercion, mothers can do this, to get one.
But that's the same thing, right?
But, no, I would never use legal fiction because that's going to be hard to substantiate. This right here, I know I can substantiate it because, I have a copy of a birth certificate application packet that they give you in the hospital. And on it says that you will not leave unless it is filled out. That's compelling under threat, duress, and coercion. I can prove that. You can't prove legal fiction. Okay, so how do you connect that to you?
Well, because the birth certificate,
how do you connect that?
The birth certificate to the all-cap name, which is a legal fiction, is a corporation. Corporation is
730 examination, baby. 730 examination. I'm telling you, you go into a courtroom, you don't have nothing, no documentation to really substantiate that. You're saying, okay, because the letters on the birth certificate is in all caps, that...
It doesn't necessarily have to be the all caps name. You've proven that the birth certificate is a corporation.
How do you prove that?
Well, the same way you would prove it.
No.
All right.
No, because I got the charter. We got the charter. We got the charter. So I'm not saying that is a legal fiction. I'm saying that this is human trafficking. I can prove that. Because this is a corporation, not on American soil. Why would I need to register? And they call this department a registrar. Why would I need to? Why am I compelled to register my baby? For what purpose? No, I'm not answering the question. I'm asking the question. Because, see, they're saying that if you don't do this, this is going to happen or you're not going to get this. Because, see, if you don't have this, you can't get into here. And if you don't have this, you can't get this. Or if you don't have this, you can't get this. Or if you don't have this, you can't get this. You see, all of this is human trafficking. Why? Because these are all corporations. What are they asking you for to do all of this? Finance. What does that mean? They just put a lien on my unalienable liberty. I can prove that. They give me all the documentation to do it. Islam? Oh, wait a minute. The brother right here had a question.
Islam.
Islam.
I just wanted to get some things straight. If you're inside of a tribunal,
I'm sorry, what?
if you're inside of a tribunal and they call you in, you wouldn't battle with them as far as the non-figure itself.
No.
You would battle with them or kind of confront the instruments that they have that's innocent theirs.
No, it depends on what the issue is. For example, most of the time, people, when you're in the lion's den, and if you didn't know, the lion's den is one of these meeting rooms that they call court, where you have all three employees of the corporation attacking you. All right, that's called a monopoly, and that's against the law. Usually, when you're in that type of a situation, it's because of your right to travel. All right, right to travel. Is your right to travel unalienable? Yes. And the discussion. Who is ruling your right to travel? Chartered out of Great Britain. And the discussion. Can you prove that? Yes. Why? Because I got the what? Charter. And the discussion. Research. What time is it? It's long, everybody. It's beautiful. Hey, do we have any new people? Do we have any new people callers?
All the new people we got to talk to in it. So before classic started, I think.
All righty.
And like the first 5 weeks was the first time.
All right. All right, so that is the end of this class. I thank you so much. Do we have anyone to do the end rotation out? Islam. Anyone? Where's our Mufti brother? Somebody's going to do the invocation out? All righty.
No.
All right.
Can you hear me? 5 on the left, 2 on the...
You want to tell them which way to turn?
Pardon me. Everybody face east.
Face east. East is this way.
Right. Allah.
Allah.
Father of the universe.
Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love. Truth.
Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. Through his holy prophet. Noble Jew Ali. As well, Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali. Islam.
Sharif Abdul Ali.
Peace.
Islam.
All right.
Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more backward thinking,